Okay. So managing the technology. We are fortunate here at Rehab Hospital to be part of a large foundation, and the foundation helps a lot with the hospital's operation and purchasing of equipment. Because we're also a non-profit, we can gather donations both from individuals or companies, and they are in exchange for a tax write-off or tax benefits. So we have a lot of support from the community, and as the director of the Innovation Center, I have a lot of support from our foundation to purchase some of this equipment, because anything high-tech is never cheap, especially when it's brand new, it's first on the market. So two of the technologies that I have here is the AlterG anti-gravity treadmill. The anti-gravity treadmill is NASA technology, and what it does, it uses air pressure that's collected inside of this big balloon, and it lifts the person up off of their feet to unweigh them. So the advantage of this is that if someone has weakness in their legs, so say like an incomplete spinal cord injury, and they can't stand up and walk on their own, they can get into this machine, the air pressure will lift them up and will allow them to walk. It's also very beneficial for people with strokes, Parkinson's, arthritis, people recovering from leg injuries like broken bones, or athletic injuries like ACLs and such. The other piece of technology also made by AlterG is this here. It's called the bionic leg, and what it was designed initially for was for stroke rehabilitation, because a person with a stroke, when they're first starting to stand up, they are reluctant to put weight on top of their weaker leg, because the stroke usually affects one side of the body and makes that side weaker. So the device was designed to increase, to help the person stand up. So if they shift weight onto their affected leg, the bionic leg will reward them with assistance if they want to stand up, or resistance as they sit down so they don't buckle and fall. I have put 2 bionic legs on an incomplete spinal cord injury patient so that it would allow him to stand up and walk with both legs and using a walker. And the real crown jewel of our technology here that we offer is the exobionic suit. And basically it's an exoskeleton, and it allows a complete paraplegic to stand up and walk, demonstrated here. Fantastic piece of equipment. It was one of Time Magazine's top inventions in 2011, I want to say. And we are one of 30 facilities in the world that has the exobionic suit. Technology like this, again, it's very costly. It's about $100,000 piece of equipment, and the only way that we were able to afford this kind of equipment and this kind of technology is that the foundation was able to support us, and we have a big donor group. So Mr. Mark Robeson, for whom the Robeson Family Innovation Center is named for, provided that funding to purchase our own exobionic suit. We are the only hospital in Hawaii that has one. We are also we're the closest facility to Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand to have one, because EXO is not interested in venturing outside of the United States and Europe. And so Japan and China won't be able to have access to the exobionic suit. But spinal cord patients and physicians know that we have one, and so that gives me a lot of leverage in trying to market this new cross-training program to that Asian market, which I'm starting with Japan. Outside of the technology, I'm also interested in developing new treatment techniques, and so using innovative treatment techniques to really challenge the patient in a way that patients with spinal cord injuries or strokes or Parkinson's hasn't been challenged before. So a few of the things that we do here is using clinical Pilates, because even though you're affected by some kind of neurological pathology, you still have to have a good core to build strength out from. We also use boxing, teaches a lot of good balance and core awareness, and there's been research showing that there's a lot of good benefits for using boxing with Parkinson's patients because of the repetitive left-right nature of boxing. We also use Tai Chi as a form of balance training, acupuncture for a lot of our pain, pain relief. We're really trying to push acupuncture as a way to relieve the nerve pain, the spasms that also are associated with spinal cord injury. And aquatics. Aquatics is a great way to get people into a weightless state so that they can walk and start to stand up. We have therapists here at Rehab Hospital that specialize in aquatic therapy, and they use flotation devices to help those spinal cord injuries start that process of weight bearing and standing, using water as a safety and to unweigh them. Okay. So more specific for the spinal cord injury survivors, life doesn't end after someone has a spinal cord injury. A big part of that is knowing that there are groups out there that are involved with activities that you can do. So there's wheelchair tennis, wheelchair basketball. There's a lot of, here in Hawaii we do adapted canoe paddling. So the seats are adapted and the canoe is adapted for a person in a chair. We also have groups from like wounded warriors. We have athletic groups and marathoners that want to have a place to train for the Honolulu Marathon that they do in the wheelchair. But there isn't a facility that's really wheelchair accessible to allow for that weight training and that camaraderie. And so part of my initiative, actually right now, is to purchase wheelchair accessible weight systems. So I'm looking at cable systems that the person can wheel into and use the weights, the cables as resistance training. And so we're using the equipment to adapt to the person instead of asking the person in the chair to try to get onto equipment that doesn't really work with them. So example would be this picture here at the bottom left, is that a person in a chair is sitting down and doing chest press on a machine that uses cables, and then the assistant or the personal trainer is behind them helping them. So again, the equipment, I don't know if you can really see it, it's a cable system with arms that adjust up and down and left and right, and so the equipment is adjusting to the person. Products and services. So the product that I'm going to be offering to these groups coming in from Japan is going to involve, again, all parts of our spinal cord injury team. So open discussions with a spinal cord injury physician, open discussions with the clinical psychologist, a lot of open discussions with successful spinal cord injury survivors. Open discussions, I think, is going to be a very new, refreshing, eye-opening experience for the folks from Japan. But again, because of the cultural differences, that things aren't really discussed in Japan as openly as they would here, such as sexuality, such as returning to work, such as family and support. In Japan, from what I understand from a lot of my Japanese colleagues, is that disability is shameful, and so people in wheelchairs aren't expected to succeed in life as a able-bodied person would. So another part that I really want to emphasize here is hands-on training. So getting the staff from Japan here and getting their hands-on training from therapists who've been doing spinal cord injury rehabilitation, and then the nurses who are involved with spinal cord injury patients, to get them trained in new ways and try to see if we can offer a different way to do things and be more open to see if they're try to change and adapt some of their treatment techniques. From what I understand as well is that the Japanese therapy is a lot more passive than it here is in America. And in America, we really focus on a lot of activity, trying to get the person up and moving as soon as possible, because the greatest amount of gains that you're going to see as far as physical ability and strength is going to happen within the first several months after injury. So if the person is laying flat and still not doing a lot in that first couple of months, that's a lot of time lost.